Mia scrolls through Instagram at 2 in the morning, her thumb moving on autopilot. She pauses on a post, someone's vacation, someone's promotion, someone's perfect Sunday brunch. Mia's chest tightens. She closes the app, opens it again 30 seconds later. The cycle repeats. But then something shifts. Mia deletes Instagram, then Twitter, then TikTok. One by one, the apps disappear from her phone. Her friends think she's being dramatic. Her coworkers assume she's going through something. But Mia isn't running away from social media. She's running towards something her brain desperately needs. If you've ever felt the urge to delete every social app on your phone, or if you already have, you're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're responding to a biological alarm system that's been screaming for your attention. And what you're experiencing has everything to do with how your ancient brain is colliding with modern technology in ways it was never designed to handle. Let's talk about what's really happening when you ghost the digital world. Your brain wasn't built for this. That's not an opinion. It's a neurological fact. For 99% of human history, your ancestors lived in groups of about 150 people. That's called Dunbar's number, and it represents the maximum number of stable social relationships your brain can cognitively maintain. Your neocortex, the part responsible for social processing, literally has a size limit. It can track about 150 faces, names, relationships, and social dynamics before it starts to overload. Now you're connected to 3,000 people on Facebook. You're following 800 accounts on Instagram. You're exposed to thousands of faces, opinions, and life updates every single day. Your brain is trying to process a social network that's 20 times larger than what it was evolutionarily designed to handle. The result? Cognitive exhaustion. Your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making center of your brain, is working overtime trying to categorize, evaluate, and respond to this tsunami of social information, and it's losing the battle. When you delete social media, you're not being weak. You're giving your brain the break it's been biologically begging for. But there's something deeper happening here, and it has to do with a tiny almond-shaped structure in your brain called the amygdala. This is your threat detection system. Its job is to scan your environment for danger and trigger your fight or flight response when necessary. In the wild, your amygdala would activate when you spotted a predator or sensed rejection from your tribe, both legitimate threats to your survival. Social media hijacks this system. Every time you post something and don't get immediate validation, your amygdala interprets it as social rejection. Every time you see someone doing better than you, your amygdala registers it as status threat. Every notification triggers a microdose of cortisol, your stress hormone. Your body is treating Instagram like it's a life or death survival scenario, because in the ancestral environment, social rejection actually was life or death. If your tribe cast you out, you didn't survive alone in the wilderness. So, when you delete social media, your amygdala finally powers down. The constant state of threat surveillance ends. Your cortisol levels begin to normalize. You're not just taking a break from apps, you're deactivating a biological alarm system that's been ringing non-stop. And then there's the dopamine problem. Your brain's reward system evolved to give you little hits of dopamine when you accomplished something meaningful, finding food, building shelter, forming a genuine connection. Dopamine is supposed to motivate you to pursue things that enhance your survival. But social media exploits this system. Every like, every comment, every share gives you a tiny dopamine spike. The problem is that these rewards are unpredictable and infinite. You never know when the next hit is coming, so you keep checking and checking and checking. This is called a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it's the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. Your brain gets hooked on the uncertainty. When you delete social media, you're breaking free from a dopamine slot machine. The first few days feel empty because your brain is experiencing withdrawal. But after about 2 weeks, something remarkable happens. Your baseline dopamine sensitivity starts to recover. Real-world rewards, a good conversation, a walk outside, finishing a project, start to feel satisfying again. You're recalibrating your brain's reward system back to what it was designed to value. Let's talk about what happens to your sense of self. Social media forces you into a strange performance. You're constantly curating a version of yourself for an invisible audience. Every photo, every caption, every story is filtered through the question, how will people perceive this? You start to see yourself through the eyes of others. Psychologists call this the imaginary audience effect, and it's exhausting. You're not just living your life, you're narrating it, editing it, and then analyzing the response. When you step away from social media, something powerful happens. You stop performing. The constant self-monitoring fades. You start to reconnect with what you actually think and feel, not what you think you should think and feel. Your sense of identity becomes more stable because it's no longer dependent on external validation. You're not checking your self-worth against a metrics dashboard. You're just existing, and that feels like freedom. But here's where it gets interesting. People who don't use social media often report feeling lonely at first, but then something unexpected happens. They start forming deeper connections. Without the illusion of staying connected through likes and comments, they're forced to reach out for real. They make phone calls, they meet up in person, they have conversations that last longer than a comment thread. The quality of their relationships improves dramatically because they're investing time and energy into a smaller circle of people who actually matter. Your brain craves depth, not breadth. Evolution wired you for intimate, face-to-face bonds where you could read body language, hear tone of voice, and experience genuine emotional resonance. Social media gives you the illusion of connection without the substance. When you delete it, you're trading 1,000 shallow interactions for 10 deep ones, and your brain rewards you for it. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released during meaningful in-person interactions. It makes you feel safe, connected, and calm. You can't get that from a screen. There's also the issue of comparison. Social media is a highlight reel, but your brain doesn't process it that way. When you see someone's vacation photos, your brain doesn't think, they're showing me their best moment. Your brain thinks, their life is better than mine. This triggers something called upward social comparison, and it's brutal for your mental health. Studies show that the more time you spend on social media, the more likely you are to experience depression and anxiety, not because you're weak, but because your brain is constantly measuring your reality against everyone else's carefully curated fiction. When you leave social media, you stop playing the comparison game. You stop measuring your worth against impossible standards. Your internal locus of evaluation strengthens, meaning you start judging your life based on your own values, not someone else's Instagram grid. And that shift is psychologically liberating. Now let's address the guilt. People who delete social media feel like they're letting others down. They worry about missing out. They feel selfish. But the truth is, your brain needs protection. Just like you wouldn't feel guilty for leaving a toxic workplace or ending a draining friendship, you shouldn't feel guilty for removing a source of psychological harm. The fear of missing out is real, but it's also a cognitive distortion. What you're actually missing out on is curated content, not real life. The important things, the birthdays, the crises, the meaningful moments, those will reach you through real channels if the relationships matter. People who successfully quit social media often describe the same experience. The first week is disorienting. You reach for your phone out of habit. You feel a strange emptiness. But by week 2, something shifts. Your attention span starts to lengthen. You can read a book without checking your phone. You can sit with your thoughts without needing distraction. By week 4, you realize you haven't thought about social media in days. And by week 8, you can't imagine going back. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about recognizing that your brain has limits, it has needs, and sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is honor those limits instead of pushing through them. Deleting social media isn't a rejection of connection, it's a return to the kind of connection your brain was actually built for. So, if you've been feeling the pull to step away, trust it. Your brain isn't being dramatic, it's being smart. It's protecting you from a system that was designed to keep you hooked, not to make you happy. And when you finally delete those apps, you're not losing connection.
you're finding yourself again.